Remind y'all that I will remind y'all that I'm recording this, so I'm recording on my phone, and I'll upload it to Google Class later on. It took quite a while yesterday, so I don't know what time it will actually be up, but we'll get it up when it gets up. And before we get started, does anybody have any questions about what we talked about yesterday? Any questions about any assignments, anything like that?
No.
Well, I heard that. Okay. Let's make sure we turn our mics off so that all these little weird noises aren't coming through. I am outside, so you'll probably hear some birds chirping, and you might hear some chickens, and you might hear my dog Grillo. Yeah, so you might hear some noises, but that's okay. Yeah, sweet. Okay, so yesterday, a quick recap. We talked about how viruses, how they attack a host cell. We talked about how viruses are very, very, very tiny when it comes to the actual cells that they attack. We talked about how they insert their DNA in different ways. Sometimes they use a Trojan horse effect. Sometimes they inject it. There's also other ways. And then sometimes they make the cell itself basically commit suicide and explode. Sometimes they just kind of live in there and they propagate that way. And they bud out, taking a piece of the membrane with it. So we also mentioned there are lots of different types of viruses. Now, most viruses don't make us sick. Okay, a very small percentage of viruses actually can enter our cells and actually make us sick. But the ones that do can make us really, really, really sick. Who knows what a bacteria is? In the text box, somebody tell me. I mean, we all know that bacteria can make you sick. A microorganism. That's right, Jay Moffitt. What does that mean? Something, okay? What is a microorganism? Single cell. Yes, that's right. So, bacteria are one single cell, okay? Just like Mr. Lamb said. They're one cell. But what do we know about viruses? We know that viruses attack cells. So, there are certain viruses that actually attack bacteria. It's kind of crazy. Because when we think of viruses, we think, oh, those make us sick. They all don't, but they can. Bacteria, oh man, they can make us sick. Bacteria can make you sick. But they're also good bacteria, right? So in your guts right now, in your stomach, you have good bacteria that help you digest food that you gotta have. They're living organisms. They're separate from you, so you have a living organism living in your stomach at this moment. And so you definitely wouldn't want viruses to attack those guys. But when you go, I don't know, have dental work done, your dentist usually gives you antibiotics because if you get a bacteria, it can cause major, major issues. Okay, it's kind of what an abscess tooth is, and so bacteria cause lots of problems, but they too can get sick. When they get sick, when a virus attacks that bacteria, that type of virus is called a bacteriophage. Okay, so the phage means virus, and bacteria obviously means bacteria. So that's pretty easy. What's unique about a bacteriophage, though, is that when it attacks a bacteria, it has one of two options, and we don't really understand why they choose the one they choose. Certain viruses don't have to go a certain route. They can do either one. And we're going to talk about those two options today. So the first option, when the bacteria gets in there, it's called the lytic cycle. Lytic cycle. Lytic. The lytic cycle. The lytic cycle basically is where the virus attacks the bacteria, and then there's about 5 steps. So the first step is it attaches itself to the bacteria. Now, it can do that in multiple ways. It can land on it and inject its DNA inside. It can land on it. Yes, Jay, this is in the new notes. It can land on it and kind of envelope itself around the membrane and use its protein receptors to gain access to get inside of it. And then from that point, that's step 2. That's entry. So once the virus enters the cell, then the DNA comes out of the virus and it goes into the cell. Now it doesn't necessarily go to the nucleus. It just goes into the cell, and it's just everywhere. And it goes all through the ribosomes. Now, the ribosomes are important because we remember that ribosomes act like 3D printers, and they grab proteins around them of what they read from the DNA, and they build whatever the DNA tells them to build. Well, in this case, it's building new viruses. Okay, so you have a bacteria that's not really a bacteria anymore. It's become a virus factory. Kind of crazy, kind of scary. Yeah. Well, crazy thing is, after it builds thousands and thousands and thousands of viruses for the Lytic cycle, the next step, this is step 5, because step 4 is where they start to build it, assemble new phages or new viruses. Step 5 is it lyses. Okay, so if you read your class notes from yesterday, then you came across the word lysis. So if a cell, I'm going to let you put this in your chat box. If a cell lyses, what does that mean? Somebody tell me. If you don't know, you can guess. Man, I really need the Jeopardy music. I'm going to get a boombox. What do you guys think? Somebody tell me. Like spreads, like more added. Okay, good guess. Okay, breaks down. Trey, you're pretty close. Yeah, Kaylee, that's pretty much it. It's like breaking of a cell or something. I like to think of it as a little bit more dramatic. When a cell lyses, it just blows up. It explodes, okay? So picture this. You had to leave because of what, Dakota? You're forced. Dakota, you a Jedi. Okay. All right. So it lyses. It blows up. Boom. Explodes. Okay. So you got a bacteria, right? And all of a sudden, boom, it blows up. After it blows up, what do you think happens? I feel you, bud. It's okay. What do you think happens after that bacteria blows up that was full of viruses? Hey, Caden, calm down, bub. Let's get back on task. Yes, Jay, it goes to a new cell, but Kayla Hill, yes, the viruses get out. So picture this: we've got a bacteria. It's full of thousands of viruses. This joker explodes, and now viruses go everywhere. Good news for us. Like I said earlier, there are 10 to 31 power, so 10 with 31 zeros behind it. That's how many viruses there are on the planet. We think that is a theory, but there's a lot. We know that most of them cannot get us sick. Some of them can, but most of them cannot get us sick. However, if it attacks a bacteria, then it probably cannot get us sick. Now, there could be some issues if it attacks the bacteria in your gut, but as far as a virus making you sick that attacks a bacteria, that's probably so you don't have to worry about that. But the bacteria better look out, because where there's one bacteria, there's usually a bunch of bacteria. And now those bacteria have a bunch of bacteriophages around them, or viruses, that are basically acting like a wolf pack seeking out bacteria to destroy, right? So it's crazy. That's the first option you have. The second cycle is the lysogenic cycle. Much less mild, much more mild, much more tame. Still kind of creepy, because what happens is you have 4 steps instead. The virus attaches to the bacteria, and they gain entry. Same way they usually, in this case, they usually inject it, and then they integrate with that cell's DNA. What that means is the virus takes a part of its DNA, or takes a copy of its DNA, and it transposes that DNA onto that bacteria's DNA. Now that bacteria has DNA for bacteria and virus. Well, the bacteria may not even be sick. It might be, but it may not be. But the big deal is, we said a while ago that the bacteria is one single cell. And what cells do is they go through mitosis and they divide. Boom, 2 cells. And that'll divide into 4, into 8, 16, 32, 64, 108, so on and so forth, right? And so every time that cell divides, that DNA from the virus is copied. And so that virus, boom, 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 We don't understand why this happens because that's the end of the lysogenic cycle. Lysogenic cycle is much easier, much less complicated than the lytic cycle, but for some reason we don't know why. Eventually, those cells are going to go through the lytic cycle then, and all of those bacteria are going to blow up. So Ethan, they don't get a new DNA set. That DNA is attached to their DNA. So it's kind of like if you had a strand of DNA this long, the virus will like take this piece out and put its DNA in. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it's kind of like copying and pasting a set of DNA. So pull this out, put that in. Okay, so eventually, however, all those bacteria that divided and reproduced, they're all going to blow up, and they're all going to be full of viruses when that takes place. So it's kind of crazy. That's pretty much for today's lecture. That's pretty much it. But don't go anywhere because we got more stuff to talk about. Before we move forward, in the chat box, do you have any questions about what I just laid down there for you? You have any questions about what we talked about today? No? Anybody else? I don't think so. Okay. I want to remind you. Oh wow! I just had some geese land on my pond. That's pretty cool. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I'm back. So something that you need to know. You do have class notes over this. It is super important, guys. I can't stress it enough. It's so important that you go over your class notes. There will be assignments in the future that you need to use them. As a matter of fact, there's an assignment today. You're probably going to need your class notes. You're probably going to need class notes from yesterday and today. Okay, so read those jokers. I'm going to try something real fast. I haven't done it before. I'm going to try to share my screen with you guys. Okay, present. A window. Okay, can y'all see that? Somebody take your microphone off. Tell me if you can see it.
No.
It's presented.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh. Never
Yes.
mind.
Okay, awesome. All right, mute your microphones, guys. Okay, let's go over this real fast. This is your assignment today. Human impact and viruses. It says, so today we learned about bacteria can get a virus. That's crazy, right? Yes, that's very crazy. We're just exposing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to virology. That is the study of viruses. Using what you know, what is one way humans could use their knowledge of viruses for good? Think about bacteriophage. Maybe review those class notes. Yeah, you're going to need to. Also, what is one way humans could potentially use viruses for bad or ill-intentioned purpose? Write your answer in paragraph form, at least 2 paragraphs. Each paragraph must be a minimum of 5 sentences and use factual information. Okay, so what am I asking you here? Somebody? Anybody? Okay, Caden. I'm sorry you didn't see that. It's in your Google class, so you can go there and find it. You're writing 2 paragraphs. Yes, Chloe, you're writing 2 paragraphs. But your paragraphs are over at least 2. You might need more than 2. If you do more than 2, I would probably do more than 2. But 2 is the minimum. You need to tell me what is one good thing that we could do with viruses. Hint, hint, hint. It's probably something to do with bacteriophage. Probably something about bacteria attacking viruses. I don't know. You think about that. I'm sorry, about viruses attacking bacteria. Okay? But then, probably a much easier question. What are some bad things people could do with viruses, right? So that's for you to think about. Don't answer it here. Answer it in your Google Classroom. Do you have any questions? Okay. I think that's it. I'm very happy that you guys logged in today. I hope you keep logging in. I think it's really important that we have these little discussions. We won't have a meeting tomorrow, okay? So we won't log in tomorrow. I will probably upload a small video, but yeah, I've got a meeting tomorrow at 11, so we won't log in. All right. Y'all are free to leave. Have a great day, guys.
Right.
If you have questions, you can hang back and you can ask them.
Okay.
Coach Oliver,
Yes.
I have bad news.
What you got?
My dad got a job offer in Chicago.
What? Emily Spencer, that breaks my heart.
He's gonna take it.
So y'all are gonna move, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And it makes me really sad.
I know, it makes me sad too. But I'll tell you what, I went to Chicago this past winter, and they literally have the best pizza in the world. So that's the bright side, right? I mean, you get to eat fantastic pizza all the time.